Questions, again, we don't want to get into details before the conferences are presented with the information. The reason we're doing this briefing before the conferences was the leader's personal accommodation to my schedule, but with that caveat, questions.
Just to be clear, the education tax credit, is that part of this agreement or not?
The education tax credit proposal was $150 million that would go basically to non-public schools. The education tax credit is not part of this. What is part of this is $250 million to non-public schools for unreimbursed mandated services.
Just a follow-up to that. Is that $250 million, is that the money that's already owed and that you're starting to pay back already?
No, this is new money.
It's not what they were already expecting?
No, not at all.
Governor, why only a one-year extension of mayoral control? Both you and the Speaker had suggested a push for a 3-year extension of mayoral control.
Yes. There are a number of proposals that were made over the months, but the outcome of the negotiation was the best that we could do was 1 year.
Were there any changes made? I know you had mentioned that it might be late in the session to actually get everything together. Is your sense that the final agreement will definitely include some kind of prevailing wage?
It's up to them, Zach. Our agreement says 421A will be extended for 6 months. During that period of time, we urge the labor leaders and real estate leaders to get together and arrive at a joint agreement on prevailing wages. If they do, the law will continue to be in effect for a period of 4 years. If they don't, the law will expire. I believe it's in both their interest to have the law continue, because if the law expires, there will be no more construction. If there's no more construction, it's bad for the labor unions, and it's also bad for the developers. So I believe they will reach an agreement. What's nice about this instrumentality is we leave it to them. It's up to them. If they negotiate an agreement, it continues. If they don't negotiate an agreement, it expires. I believe they will.
Were there any changes made to the state's property tax cap, and how long will this be extended for now?
There were some changes that we're talking about for the property tax cap. It will be extended for 4 years, the same period of time as rent.
And what are those changes?
We can go through with you in detail after this discussion and after they brief the conferences.
Does that expire alongside rent control?
Yes.
So the property tax cap wasn't set to expire until next year. Wouldn't that be a 3-year extension of the property tax cap?
Well, only because it was a 1-year lag in the tax cap. It expires this year, but there's a 1-year lag. And the same, so they would be synchronized for a period of 4 years.
So the $1.3 billion property tax rebates, how exactly would that look? Is it closer to the Senate's plan based on the STAR program, or is it closer to your original plan?
It's based on it has a circuit breaker, but let these gentlemen talk to their conferences and then we'll go through the details.
And how would that be paid for, along with the $250 million to non-public?
From the state.
From settlement money? From what exactly?
From our budget, just from our general budget money.
Are you disappointed about the education tax credit?
No, I'm excited about $250 million in mandated services. You know, it's about getting support to non-public schools. The support to the public schools was unprecedented, right? That we did in the budget. 6% more, highest level of education funding in the history of the state of New York, period. Now you have 400,000 children in non-public schools. And many non-public schools are closing. I happen to go to Catholic school. Many Catholic schools are closing. 400,000 students, where do they go if the private schools close? Well, send them to the public schools. You can't. You have public schools still in New York City that have children in trailers. They have no way to absorb these students. So you have to keep the private system strong for the private system and the public system. And they're closing schools. They need financial support. The education tax credit would have gotten them $150 million. By the way, 50% public, 50% private, so really $75 million. This is $250 million to non-public schools. So I'm very pleased that they're going to get the financial support they need to stabilize that system.
Governor, why is it
one-year assignment to the Attorney General for the role of special prosecutor for police-related deaths?
Because we were working on a piece of legislation. I don't believe the best approach is to have one special prosecutor for the entire state. I believe there are more discrete, more nuanced approaches that are better, as does the Senate, as does the Assembly. We had 3 very different proposals that we were trying to reconcile. We were not successful in reconciling them by today. We will take it up again next year, and hopefully we get there next year. In the interim, I'm going to do what I said initially, which is if the legislature doesn't have an agreed-to bill that they pass, I will appoint the Attorney General. We've committed to work on it again next year, and that's why it's 1 year until next year, and then we'll see what happens next year.
Will you re-up it for another year if you're still going to pass at the end of next year's session?
I think these gentlemen may come to an agreement on a new law next year.
Trevor, on the rent portion of the agreement, can you give any kind of detail on what the luxury and vacancy decontrol threshold will look like and how that will work?
I would prefer to let these gentlemen talk to their conference first and then go into details.
Governor, can you give an indication of how much the tax rebate would be for a typical property owner, or how much they could be expecting?
Hundreds of dollars for upstate and suburban homeowners. It's $1.3 billion, Mike. It's a very significant cut. You know, the suburban communities pay the highest absolute dollars: Nassau, Suffolk, Westchester, Rockland. Upstate, they pay the highest amount by percentage of home value. So that's where it's targeted.
Is there anything better than a couple hundred?
You know, Mike, this is an awkward, after the speaker and the Senate leader talk to their conferences, then you'll have more details.
The city would not be part of the...
No.
Governor, on the criminal justice issues, it seems like you're going executive action routes on both of those. And I'm just wondering if that's a reflection of how complicated those issues are, or if there was some, opposition in the legislature to those issues.
No, it's more a question of complication and time and details. The raise the age, we made a lot of good progress. We didn't get there. To me, the single most important piece of raise the age is getting the 16 and 17-year-olds out of state prisons. And that's what I can do by executive order. I told my colleagues I was going to do that. They both support that, by the way. And that's what we're going to do. On the Attorney General, Special Prosecutor law, the same thing. The Senate has one proposal. The Assembly has a proposal. I had a third proposal. We were close to reconciling them, but this isn't horseshoes. So the buzzer went off, and we said we'll work on it next year.
What about pension forfeiture? Was there an agreement on that? There's still...
No.
Was there any conversation about using a message of necessity?
Don't you want to ask the Speaker any tough questions for the Speaker? He's very good. Or the Senate leader, some nice, no, huh? Go ahead.
We've seen him recently.
I'm just wondering.
Did you miss me, Casey? Did you miss me? Oh, Casey, that is so sweet. I'm touched. This is me touched, by the way, Casey. They missed me. Isn't that
Do you
nice?
get your conference to support this?
Say that again?
Are you confident that your conference will support this plan?
Yeah, once we get through the details, I think the conference will be fine.
What is your selling point to your conference? You have to sell this to 100 and some members. How are you going to sell this?
My wonderful smile.
Now we're in trouble.
Governor, if I could go off topic for a second. Next week it was revealed that the state's top energy regulator had ties to an energy company. After the story came out, she cut those ties, still has ties to a transmission company in the state. Are you worried there's a potential conflict of interest there or any violation of the state public ethics laws?
We're looking at the facts, and if there are, we'll address it, but as of this point, we don't have a cause for concern.
Could it be a follow-up from your office then on that?
We are looking at the facts.
Governor, like the first 6 months of this year, both politically, professionally, governmentally, personally for you, have been...
It was unprecedented, the tumult. Put aside the personal tumult. So just governmentally, and you all rightfully so said, geez, all this all this tumult, all this change, how can they possibly do it? Albany may slip back to the old dysfunction. Albany may slip back to the old chaos. Can the Senate leader step up? Can the speaker step up? Can the governor overcome personal travail? Ba-ba-ba-boom. And, we get now to the sort of last chapter. And this is the last chapter of your drama that was playing out over the first few months. We had very tough issues. Rent is a very tough issue. Property taxes are a very tough issue. We had 2 new leaders. On top of it all, this is a great agreement. Great. I've done this a number of times, as you know. We've sat in this room and gone through these agreements a number of times. This is a great agreement. If you didn't have any of the tumult, this would be a great agreement. With everything, all the changes that were made, that you have 2 leaders that reached this agreement, I think is extraordinary. So to me, it really is a great day for the state. And look, I think it also said, and we had this conversation as colleagues, we have done something here in the state of New York, and we've done something special over these past 5 years. And maybe Senator Flanagan wasn't the leader, and maybe Assemblyman Hasty wasn't a leader at the time. But we did something extraordinary for 5 years. We made government work when it hadn't worked in a long, long time. And when the dysfunction and the mockery of New York State was on late night TV. We made government work. And we all did that. Different capacities, but we all did that. And it was very important to us and to the leaders that they continued to make the government work. And one of the ways we make the government work is we go at it as professionals, and we say we can believe what we believe, and we're going to fight for what we fight, but we're not going to take it to the point of gridlock. We're not going to be Washington. And we're not going to put our politics ahead of government. Because when you get to gridlock, what you're really saying is, I'd rather argue my political case, and I'd rather play politics than compromise and move forward. Because government is compromise. That's what government is. 2 different interests, and make no mistake, these were 2 different interests. But if you're a professional government person, you compromise, you accomplish what you can, and you move forward. If you're a politician, you keep making your political argument, and you gridlock the government. And that's the difference between Washington and Albany. It's been the difference for 5 years. You rightfully raised the question during the 6-month drama. How are these new leaders going to handle it? They are professionals. They put government first. They put politics second. I was honored to be part of it. Let them go to their conference. Thank you very much.